Jonathan, are you there, Jonathan?
Yes, I am.
Jonathan, can we hear Jonathan okay? Perfect. Jonathan, thanks for calling This Week in Startups. How long have you been listening to the show?
I started just about a week and a half ago, but I've caught up already, so quite a bit this past week.
How many episodes have you listened to, watched?
All of them, except for the one that we're in right now. So.
Wow, so you are 7 for 7 listening to the show. What do you think of the show so far?
It's great. I really enjoyed it. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I was able to actually watch all the episodes in about a week.
And let me ask you a question. How do you watch them? Do you watch it on an iPhone? Do you listen to it on your computer? What is the? I'm curious as to how you listen to the show, how you consume it.
I've actually been listening to it through the MP3 podcast in iTunes. I'm in a vacation area right now, and I have to take my dog for a walk every day. So I've been, listening to it on my walks. And
got it. So you're on vacation.
Semi-vacation,
yeah.
Yeah, my wife is actually out here singing in the opera company here in Santa Fe, and so
nice.
I'm kind of working, enjoying the scenery.
That's like all entrepreneurs do, right? You do like the half vacation, a little bit of work in the morning, a little bit of work at night, and you get the vacation in the middle.
Exactly.
So you have a question. Let's hear it.
So my main idea that I want to pursue is basically a lifestyle business, and with a lifestyle business, having an exit strategy feels wrong because I don't really foresee wanting to give up the business in an acquisition.
Right.
I don't necessarily think that my idea is IPO material.
Right.
My question is there a creative investment type that works by basically just revenue share or something similar? And if so, how do you find those types of investors?
Yeah, that's a good question. So for people who don't know what he means by lifestyle business, a lifestyle business is a business that generally throws off enough capital to provide a great lifestyle for the person who owns it. So it's not something that maybe Google or Yahoo or Microsoft are going to buy, but it might be something that if you own the business and it made $100,000 a year, $500,000 a year, $1 million a year, you'd be really excited to make that. Is that correct? That we have the same definition there, Jonathan?
Yeah, basically, my idea essentially would be to really provide a great product to a smaller set of users that would really rely on the product. And turning around and selling it to someone else doesn't really make me feel like I'm, doing something good for the customers necessarily.
Yeah. So if you have a customer-centric company and they love working with you, it is harder to sell that business. And however, you do have the right to sell it as the person who started it, and your customers then, of course, have the right to disengage from you as customers. So there is a balance there. I mean, they know that it's a possibility that you could sell the business, and they will respect that if you do it, I'm sure. And anybody who's going to buy it is going to be aware of that. So I guess if you were going to sell it, I wouldn't feel too bad about it, but I would certainly talk to your clients about why you're doing it, how you're doing it, and maybe figure out if there's a way to sort of bridge that transition. So are you thinking of selling it right now, or are you just wondering about this because you're starting one?
Well, it's more that this has been my dream for the last few years to really start it. I'm actually working in a day job right now. And, I tried to kind of start it last summer, but I ended up getting too much contracting work and having to deal with clients not paying me, and I basically went back to a day job again. So I'm starting to have these feelings that I really want to do this again, and so it's kind of like trying to find someone to kind of help me, especially with the business side up front, and a little bit of capital. I don't need a ton,
Right.
It's just that type of partner investor that is really interested in seeing a business succeed as opposed to necessarily just making a ton of money off of a IPO or sale.
Okay, so who you should get to invest in a lifestyle business? The number one person you should tap is the potential customers. And you don't have to actually call it an investment. What you can call it is pay for the service in advance. So when I did my first magazine, I asked people to buy the advertising for a year ahead of time and give me the checks and pay for it ahead of time, which not everybody went for. But I got 4 or 5 of them to do it, so I had enough money to start covering the print runs. So you could actually go to your top 5 clients and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking of doing. Would you guys be opposed to paying me 6 months up front? I'll give you a 10% discount or something like that. And you'll be my first 5 clients. Then you don't need to raise the capital. And then, the other opportunity to raise capital when you have a smaller size business like that is to find somebody who has a passion for that space. So, and who, somebody who knows it, somebody with an affinity. So an affinity-based investor, I think, is probably who would do best for it. But lifestyle businesses shouldn't take too much capital. So you might even want to think about, whatever your costs are. Your costs are what, like computers and an office space?
Well, I already have my own computers and stuff. But, it's really just trying to keep the food on the table, really. So.
Yes. Okay. So that does become the issue. So what a lot of people do is they'll ask their current employer if they would like to be customer number one. And that works pretty well. So if you go to your current employer and say, listen, I'm thinking about doing this business. I'd like you to be the first customer. I'd like you to still employ me 20 hours a week, whatever. You never know. They might go for it. They may want to still have you involved for 6 months so they can sort of bridge the launch of your company. They might even want to be investors. So I would pursue all of those avenues.
Okay, great idea.
Any thoughts, Chief?
Well, I find the question really interesting because 5 or 10 years ago, you really didn't find this dynamic in entrepreneurship. Right. There was really one model for entrepreneurship, right. And this idea of an armchair inventor who's going to do something, right. I think is really interesting. And the question, from my perspective, becomes how do you do it right? And I think you said a couple of really interesting things. One is, hey, don't quit your day job.
Right.
Do it on the side. Prove it out, and then let it guide you, so to speak. I think a lot more people are going to do that, and some of those may turn into really viable, sustainable businesses that become big, and some of those just may be rewarding because you're doing something creative on the side that gives you fulfillment that unfortunately is not something you can get in your day job per se.
Yeah, I mean that's the number one thing with a lifestyle business is you have to enjoy it. The whole purpose of doing it and taking on the responsibility of the company is so that you can have the pleasure of not having a boss and to start work at 6 and end at 1, or start work at 1 and end at 6, or whatever it is that you want to do, or work or stay home with your kids more often, whatever it is. So good luck with it. Don't worry about the selling part of it. If it grows that big, mazel tov, you sell it. Nobody's going to care. Your customers will be happy for you, and you can always do the right thing and be a mensch and say, oh, you know what, I'm going to be selling the business, but I'm not going to run out the door. I'm going to have a 6-month transition. So I think you do fine. I think you should go for it and enjoy it. Save up a little money, too. That always is a good idea.
Yep, that's what I'm working on.
Yeah. Okay, great. Keep listening, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Perfect. Just like that, boom. Somebody calls, they need some advice. Maybe we don't even give him the greatest advice in the world. Maybe it's just confirming. That might have been one of those calls, Tyler, where it was just sort of confirming, and he just wants to make sure he's not doing any major mistakes. But lifestyle businesses, I think it's a big part of the future. These micro startups on one side and the lifestyle businesses on the other. Small amount of capital, start a micro startup, and maybe have a medium-sized exit, raise $500,000, exit for $10 to $25 million, and then lifestyle businesses, you're not even looking for the exit. If it happens, that's just great, but you're looking for it to throw off capital so you can just be independent and pursue your muse.